Good morning, this is Pastor Jeff. It is Friday, July 3rd. We'll be taking a look at Psalms 45, Genesis 27, and Romans chapter 7. So hear these words on Friday, July 3rd, 2020. Our psalm reading today comes from Psalms 45, verses 10 through 17. Now listen, daughters, don't miss a word. Forget your country and put your home behind you. Be here, the king is wild for you. Since he's your Lord, adore him. Wedding gifts pour in from Tyre. Rich gifts shower you with presents. Her wedding dress is dazzling, lined with gold by the weavers. All her dresses and robes are woven with gold. She is led by the king, followed by the virgin companions. A procession of joy and laughter, a grand entrance to the king's palace. Set your minds on the sons. Don't dote on fathers and grandfathers. You'll set your sons up for princes all over the earth. I'll make you famous for generations. You'll be the talk of the town for a long time. Our Old Testament reading today comes from Genesis 27, 1 through 17, and we continue hearing a little bit about the story of Isaac and Esau. When Isaac had become an old man and he was nearly blind, he called his eldest son Esau and said, "My son." "Yes, father." "I'm an old man," he said. "I might die any day now. Do me a favor. Get your quiver of arrows and your bow and go out in the country and hunt me some game. Then fix me a hearty meal, the kind that you know I like, and bring it to me to eat so that I can give you my personal blessing before I die." Rebekah was eavesdropping as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. As soon as Esau had gone off to the country to hunt game for his father, Rebekah spoke to her son Jacob. "I just overheard your father talking with your brother Esau. He said, 'Bring me some game and fix me a hearty meal so that I can eat and bless you with God's blessing before I die.' Now, my son, listen to me. Do what I tell you. Go to the flock and get me 2 younger goats. Pick the best. I'll prepare them in a hearty meal, the kind that your father loves. Then you'll take it to your father. He'll eat and he'll bless you before he dies." "But mother," Jacob said, "my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I have smooth skin. What happens if my father touches me? He'll think I'm playing games with him. I'll bring down a curse on myself instead of a blessing." "If it comes to that," said his mother, "I'll take the curse on myself. Now just do what I say. Go and get the goats." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she cooked a hearty meal, the kind his father loved so much. Rebekah took the dress-up clothes of her older son Esau and put them on her younger son Jacob. She took the goat skin and covered his hands and smooth nape of the neck. Then she placed the hearty meal she had fixed and fresh bread she had baked into the hands of her son Jacob. Now our New Testament reading today comes from the book of Romans chapter 7, verses 7 through 20. And before I read Romans 7 through 20, I'm going to take a hearty sip of coffee. But I can hear you say, if the law code was bad as all that, it's no better than sin itself. That's certainly not true. The law code had a perfectly legitimate function. Without its clear guidance for right and wrong, moral behavior would be mostly guesswork. Apart from the sufficient surgical command, "You shall not covet," I could have dressed covetousness up and looked like a virtue and ruined my life with it. Don't you remember how it was? I do. Perfectly well. The law code started out as an excellent piece of work. What happened, though, was that sin found a way to pervert the command into a temptation, making a piece of forbidden fruit out of it. The law code, instead of being used to guide me, was used to seduce me. Without all the paraphernalia of the law code, sin looked pretty dull and lifeless, and I went along without paying much attention to it. But once sin got its hands on the law code and decked itself out in all the finery, I was fooled and fell for it. The very command that was supposed to guide me into life was cleverly used to trip me up, throwing me headlong. So sin was plenty alive, and I was stone dead. But the law code itself is God's good and common sense. Each command, sane and holy counsel. I can already hear your next question. Does that mean I can't even trust what is good? That is the law? Is it good just as dangerous as evil? No. Again, sin simply did what sin is so famous for doing, using the good as a cover to tempt me to do what would finally destroy me. By hiding within God's good commandment, sin did far more mischief than it could have ever accomplished on its own. I can anticipate the response that is coming. I know that all God's commands are spiritual, but I'm not. Isn't this also your experience? Yes, I'm fooling myself after all. I spent a long time in sin's prison. What I don't understand about myself is that I decide one way, but then I act another, doing things I absolutely despise. So if I can't be trusted to figure out what is best for myself and then do it, it becomes obvious that God's command is necessary. But I need something more. For if I know the law, but still can't keep it, and if the power of sin within me keeps sabotaging my best intentions, I obviously need help. I realize that I don't have what it takes. I can will it, but I can't do it. I decided to do good, but I don't really do it. I decided not to do bad, but then I do it anyway. My decisions, such as they are, don't result in action. Something has gone wrong deep within me and gets the better of me every time. Here ends our daily reading.